I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker. Jessica Matthews is the co-founder and CEO of Uncharted Play, which has invented a toy called the Socket, a soccer ball that harnesses enough energy when kicked around to keep an LED light lit. Thanks, Brian, for the words. An LED light lit for 24 hours or to charge a cell phone. Jessica is going to walk us through her journey as an impact entrepreneur. Please help me welcome her to the stage, Jessica Matthews.
The main story, I think, of what we're going to be going over today is a story that hopefully will touch a lot of you if you're actually looking to get into entrepreneurship. So our company was actually named one of the 25 best small businesses in the country by Inc. magazine back in May. And we've never had a bit of VC funding. We've never had like one big investor come in and do everything. We've mainly used different forms of crowdfunding from the beginning to where we are right now. And not to mention, we're a social enterprise. So to even say the least, that getting people to actually give us money, knowing that impact is very much integrated into our business model, wasn't the easiest thing. So hopefully, does this work now? Maybe? And so, I can't tell what that face means. So basically, our first product was the Socket. And that's what you're going to be looking at a video of here. And it actually started as a class project, what people actually don't know. It wasn't the company that came first. It was the project. It was this idea of producing something that was built on play.
An idea for clean energy that I think it's fair to say hardly anybody else on the planet had ever thought of. It's quite extraordinary, really. Kick a ball, turn on a light. It's an off-grid solution that gives us a way to bring power and improve quality of life, working capacity, learning capacity.
So that was our first video. So I think the easiest way to kind of encapsulate where we are, and at least where we started, is going back to what I just said, that we wanted to build something that was based off of play. I'm a dual citizen of Nigeria and the US. I go back to Nigeria a lot, and one of the biggest motivations that I saw there was this need for reliable, clean access to power. I should add, actually, that I studied psychology and economics, so I'm not an engineer. That's usually the first thing I have to throw out to people, because they assume I'm an engineer. You know, I did go to Harvard and Harvard Business School, but I did everything but wire things there, to tell you the least. I was looking at people's minds and whatnot. And so the first thing they say is, okay, well, you have this idea, but you're not an engineer, and you go to engineers and they say it's not possible. So I start thinking back to this need in Nigeria, where pretty much every single day, 7 times a day, you'll lose power, and there's nothing we can really do about it. And people tend to feel a sense of hopelessness, a loss of agency. But then when you also look there, there's this great culture around the sport of soccer. The most popular sport around the world, except for in the US. This game that everyone plays, and it brings this great passion out of them. So the idea came to connect the two. So, you know, kinetic energy is something that we all learned about in grade school and high school. It seems simple enough. Why not pull that together and harness the kinetic energy that's generated in a soccer ball to actually generate useful power? So the real inspiration came from play that we saw in South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria. Anything really can be play. I realized that the idea of amplifying existing fun behavior, this is also an example of play, is the key thing. And why this kind of ties into crowdfunding is, 'cause for me, I feel like crowdfunding is experiential, fun investing. It's like the play space of getting funding. It's the play space of people interacting with your mission and what you believe in a way that doesn't seem like, you know, they're betting their home, their kids, and their future. They're simply saying, okay, I support you enough to give you this amount to know that I'm part of a group, a collective group that believes in what you're doing. Play, whether it's crowdfunding or whether it's soccer, is happiness. And so for us at Uncharted Play, it made sense to try to find ways that were experiential and exciting to actually get people to support our idea. This is our mission, actually, very quickly. To foster well-being by inspiring people to lead playful lives. So first was to really hone in for us what our mission was before we could actually go and present to anyone saying that we needed cash. So we really did research around the energy access issue. That was the first thing that really motivated me in college to come up with the socket, and it was the thing that I felt would be the right place for the company to start, and that we could actually get a lot of people behind us in this space in different ways. So some interesting facts about energy access, and you can actually see, I love this image because you can see the Africa, Latin America, basically are dark compared to the US. So without a doubt, there is a need for the product. But we knew that because it's a technology, it would be too expensive to start developing the project. Oh, sorry, rather it's too expensive at the beginning to necessarily get these products to the people who need them to start. So how do we get the funding to develop the products, to actually develop the R&D, to actually get the products to the people that people actually need, to the people who need them? Here's another horrible stat as well in terms of what's actually going on in these communities. Again, we know there's a need, but we have this kind of dysfunction. There's the people who need the product, but they can't afford it yet because we haven't hit scale. And then there are people who can afford to fund it, but they don't need it. How do we bridge the gap? So when we were designing the socket, we realized actually that there were a lot of things that we could do. One, we recognized that obviously it was a soccer ball. So you're going to these communities where they love this sport, and you're giving them a durable soccer ball that they can play with. We also recognized that obviously it's an eco-friendly generator, but two additional things came out of our experience. We realized that it was an educational tool that could be used both in the US and overseas, and a symbol of empowerment in terms of what people could actually do with their own bodies, with their own agency, with their own belief in their will. And so that mission and that kind of social intangible around that is what we were able to actually entice different corporate sponsors to first be our first funders, essentially. So we went to companies like State Farm and Western Union and said, this is something that could really add to your marketing campaigns. Would you be interested in branding these balls, distributing them to communities in need overseas, and using this, the media that you gather from these distributions for your marketing campaigns in the US? And they said yes. So in the beginning, while we were still figuring out the exact specifics of this product and everything that could come from it, we were able to get funding, not from investors, not even from individuals in the beginning, but actually from corporate sponsors, by realizing that there was really a positive externality that came out of our product that we could sell to actually first start pushing things forward. Then, of course, it became a situation of actually being able to develop the product that we thought could have a social impact. And so that's when we started sourcing. I think the original crowdfunding was from family and friends and anyone who would talk to us, essentially. And what we told them is that we didn't want to just create a normal soccer ball. And this soccer ball had to be lightweight like a normal soccer ball, yes, but it also had to be water resistant. It also had to be puncture proof. It has to basically last years and years longer than a normal soccer ball, because you can't give someone power and then take it away once it lands on a sharp edge. And it has to be cost effective. So these are things that, to be honest, the corporate sponsors didn't really focus in on, but we knew that individuals would start to care about. And so when we were pushing towards this, that's when we ended up doing a Kickstarter campaign. And with our Kickstarter campaign, we went from sketches of inductive coils all the way to really a pendulum gyroscope style design, all really just constantly giving our Kickstarter fans updates in terms of these are the improvements we're making, really developing connection and making sure that they understood the narrative behind our R&D, understood that this is something that's so important to us, and while we're still trying to figure out the exact model of getting this product out to people, we are making progress, and these are the things that we're trying to test. And so we went through all of this development, finished up our Kickstarter campaign in 1 month very quickly, reaching out to fans and friends, and started to do pilot studies. Since we started our pilot studies, we've been in over 10 countries around the world through sponsorship from individuals and from corporations. And again, at this time, when we have several thousand balls out there being tested, we still did not have any investors. No VC fund, no one coming in to kind of save the day. So we said, how do we start pulling in the business model that will bring in people to, if we want to go on a site like Fundable, for example. So what we started to do was collect the media from our trips as well. This was in South Africa, where we worked with Western Union and Keynote. This was in Brazil, where we actually were able to get Will Smith randomly to give us some money for us to go. This was in India, again showing how the ball can be used around the world. In Mexico, where we worked with the major media conglomerate, Televisa Fundación, there. And this was just a couple weeks ago in Tanzania. I'm fond of getting presidents to do my work for me. So this is the second guy. I thought it would be good to get a sitting president. And he was great. This was something where we simply kept on pushing and pushing and pushing and sending out our information everywhere and saying, listen, this is the work that we're doing. Look what we're already doing. Can we be involved? And they actually reached out to us and said, you know what, we like what you're doing. Obviously, we have no money because it's sequester. Fine, blah, blah, blah. But what we can do is invite you to join the president on his Africa tour and do a demo at this plant. And so this is this huge plant in Tanzania called the Ubungo Power Plant. And GE was there, the president of GE was there because they put in the machines and everything. But the president seemed less interested about all of that and more interested in grabbing the ball, heading it, dribbling it, playing soccer a little bit with the Tanzanian president, picking it up, showing to the press, all around what we found out when we spoke to the senior advisor, the story. What captured him so much and what ended up capturing most of the press that day was the story of something that was so simple, yet so symbolic in terms of the power needs of the country. And so this really taught me, when it comes to getting people excited about your idea, excited about your business, it really is important to make sure that, one, that you're really passionate, but that it is something that you can tell will touch people. That it's something that will actually have a meaningful narrative that people can communicate and keep going. And so through this, we were able to actually launch our Fundable campaign. And I think so far we've raised 60% of our 500,000K goal relatively quickly, all through the fact that we were pulling in press and saying, look, these are the people who support us. Would you be interested in supporting us as well? So because we had so much success so far with Kickstarter, with pulling people in from sponsors, and now also with our Fundable campaign, we thought, wouldn't it be interesting to actually start developing new products and seeing if we can do a smaller version of a crowdsourced platform on our own site for any new product that we come up with. Really saying, you know, we're a small company, rather than investing a ridiculous amount on inventory and without a tested model, let's put out a product out there in beta form and see if people are interested in pre-ordering it, and see if we can actually replicate this over and over. So the first product that we're actually adding to our line is actually an appliance, and it's a portable lamp. And so the way this portable lamp works is something actually for overseas impact model. Our ball has to be played with more than one person, most likely, to really amplify an existing behavior. And so what we decided to develop was a lamp that we could give to each child that goes to a school. We distribute the balls through the schools. And then so the kids live their normal lives. They get up, they go to school, they play with the ball after school, and then they each line up, plug in their portable lamp for about 60 seconds to actually take several hours of power home with them. And what we found about this that's really exciting is, one, now there's no more of a kind of who gets the power issue. You know, it's not, we realized when we were handing these balls to kids, it was like giving a kid in the Bronx a new pair of Jordans and leaving him in a corner and expecting him to survive. But also we're amplifying now this new this very real behavior of wanting to go to school so you can play with your friends and not feeling any kind of fear of whether or not you're going to have the ball stolen, but also getting parents to want to go to the schools. Sorry, getting parents to actually want their kids to go to school versus staying at home to work with chores. And so what we're actually doing with this right now, because it's very much tied to our impact, is seeing if we can get the families who have already worked with our products before to be involved in the crowdfunding. And say, if you really think this is something that could help your kids and help your family, how much would you be interested in giving for the development? So instead of just treating it as two different worlds, actually going to that direct consumer and saying, is this something you want to be involved in? Do you want to feel ownership over this? Because it really is a global feeling to want to feel like you're involved in the development of something. We've also thought about expanding what we offer here in the US within the energy line of things. And so 2 additional products that we're also going to be offering for kind of crowdfunded pre-order at the end of the summer is an American football and the jump rope. The American football works very similarly to the soccer ball. It's just for those, we are in America, for those who don't want to kick, they want to throw, it makes tons of sense. But the jump rope I'm really excited about because 1, it generates more power, significantly more power than the soccer ball. But what we've noticed actually is that in areas, for example, I went to Jordan a few weeks ago, and in this area, the women, once they hit age 12, they're not allowed to play outside. They're not allowed to play with the boys. And so we realized that there's a dichotomy in terms of who's playing and who's not playing. But when you bring them the jump rope, it seems like a girl thing that they can do. So they're actually inside in their camps playing. When we just came back from Tanzania, everyone who was Muslim who wouldn't play soccer, they were literally jump roping for 2 hours straight and they didn't stop. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I had to pull out. I couldn't continue with them. And so again, this is something interesting where for us, we're trying to think about offering people different things and seeing, okay, we're going to go ahead and make 2,500 units of this. We're going to put it online and say you can pre-order if you're interested and see if people actually respond to the mission behind this product and order it ahead of time before we invest in the inventory. And then we continue to build up R&D once we know it's proven. But this isn't the only thing that we're doing because of, or I should say, that's been influenced by crowdfunding. We also have, if you can pull up the video for me, we've also thought about ways that we could actually use crowdfunding through play to support other social missions. And so something that we're developing right now is a product called the Ludo. And it's also tied to an online platform called the Play Fund. And essentially what happens here is people play, as they normally would with the product, the Ludo. And their playtime is wirelessly uploaded to the site, the Play Fund, where it could be used as currency to support different social projects. And so what we're doing there, again, is really trying to pull people into this idea of collectively supporting a project. This time, though, instead of always putting in money, actually putting in their time and their happiness. We can play this really quickly.
3-6-4 to end the inning. So Dickey normally...
And so that's the Ludo and the Play Fund. And again, the idea behind it is not just looking at crowdfunding again as this idea of people coming in giving money, but really thinking about this idea of experiential investing and getting funds and support to all the different projects that need it. And so that was something that was really important to us at Uncharted Play, thinking about how successful we've been able to essentially pull in people who are interested in our story and fund us, and thought if we could develop a product to help other social enterprises and other social projects get this funding through Play, potentially it could be easier for people, again, just to break down those barriers when it comes to giving what they can to support different projects. So with that, it's kind of the short form. I'm happy to take maybe a few questions, or we'll do it later.
Move straight into the panel session, which of course you will be joining us for.
All right, perfect.
Why don't you guys join me in thanking Jessica?
Great, thank you.